we have breaking news. It's been up on Twitter. Ralph just IFB'd me. The Yankees just DFA'd Aaron Hicks.
Wow.
After a 3-hit game, no less.
Wow. That's the news people have been waiting for almost 2 years now. I mean, wow. That's something.
Little break to figure this out.
Yeah, wow.
This is
Couldn't have come at a better time.
Last night, the Yankees traded for Greg Allen. I don't know if you remember. He was an amazing piece of what was a rather forgettable. Was it 2021?
Mm-hmm.
And right, that was a year where a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff happened, and Greg Allen was a real bright spot for them. Wow, it is surprising. And so we knew when the Yankees acquired Greg Allen that a corresponding move was going to have to be made. I didn't think that they were going to cut Hicks the way he'd been hitting the last couple of weeks. It finally felt like he had started to find his form. He pimped a home run a couple of weeks ago. He had a hamstring or a hip injury that set him out for a week. Comes back, gets a big 3-hit day against the Blue Jays. Aaron Hicks, presumably off this roster, and either we probably not going to get picked up on waivers by some team. Probably going to clear waivers. Would assume. Now, designate for assignment doesn't necessarily mean that the Yankees are releasing him, but more than likely that means he's probably just getting released, and the Yankees will eat that salary. And that's
big salary.
Over $20 million to eat. Again, he was on a $10 million AAV contract. Big move for Aaron Hicks. And how about for Brian Cashman, a guy that's been criticized for not cutting bait on players until it's too late?
Yeah, and also another little interesting thing that's going on with the Yankees that I just saw. Ben Rortvedt making his debut tonight for the Yankees, a guy that seemingly has not existed since that trade that brought Donaldson and IKF that everybody knows from that trade. But Ben Rortvedt was also the piece of that trade because they sent away Gary Sanchez. It was a catcher to bring in to develop, and he kind of just hasn't really existed at all for the Yankees. Every time it seems like he's ready to go, he would have a setback or something or else. So it's nice to see Ben Rortvedt in the lineup. I didn't know
Ben
that we would
Rortvedt
ever reach
exists.
that
Confirmed
day.
that he exists. This is huge.
And he's staring at me right now from this lineup sheet. But man, what a swing of this segment.
I'll tell you what, I want to see where you guys fall on this. Aaron Hicks did not make too many friends with the Yankee fans, especially the last couple of years with both his play and then kind of complaining about playing time. I think a lot of Yankee fans took issue, but I will say, as someone that has had the opportunity to cover the Yankees this year, for the most part with the media, Aaron Hicks has been very, very good. I think his problem has been that at times he's been too honest about how he really feels, but Aaron Hicks has been a great interview in the clubhouse. He's always been pretty accountable about most of the stuff. There are a lot of times where he had really bad games, was like, yeah, this sucks. I suck right now, basically. Like, Hicks, part of me hurts to see Hicks go a little bit because me and Brian and Eli were having a conversation the other day, and it's like, man, Hicks used to be one of the players you used to love watching in those 2017, 2018 teams. He was fun. The way he used to pimp home runs. Like,
yeah, it was good because I hated watching him.
Aaron Hicks was a fun dude to watch, and it stinks how hard he fell off, and it kind of stinks that this is the way his Yankee career probably comes to an end. I think it probably ends up being the right move. I don't think Hicks was a factor on your ideal playoff roster. I think you want to find a left fielder out there. Whether it's Greg Allen, maybe Greg Allen resurgence is real. I'd love for that to be real, but I think it ends up being the right move, but a big decision to eat all that salary and to cut bait on a guy that you would sign for a 7-year deal.
I feel like that was I thought that was kind of why they were keeping him around, is because salary was huge, and like it's, even though like at some point you do got to cut the cord.
Right, because even with Gallo, who was on a 1-year deal, they waited until the deadline to deal him. They didn't, when he was hitting 150 and doing nothing at the plate, they waited to cut bait on him.
But I think Gallo had more trade value.
Oh, absolutely.
So there was more of a reason to keep him on the team till around the trade deadline when it was getting really hot, and then you start scrambling for pieces. Whereas I think they've been trying to trade Aaron Hicks for some time now, and it just seems that nobody really wants to bite on trading him. So maybe this will be a situation where New York was just a tough spot. New York's a tough spot for a lot of athletes, and maybe towards the end of his career here in New York, it started getting to Aaron Hicks, but it definitely is tough, the timing of the DFA, because I feel like the last series or two, it's been a lot less of the DFA Hicks all over Twitter, because he's had a couple of games where he's put it together. The other night, he put together a good game, both defensively and with the bat. I mean, so it just kind of is surprising. So the timing, I mean, I don't think the move itself is surprising, but
it's the timing more than anything else. You felt like Hicks was finally turning a corner, so to speak, especially at least for what you kind of expected from Aaron Hicks. Again, at one point in the season, you just kind of, this is an 0 for 4 with an error in the field. And then you started to see him get the bat going a little bit. And it was like you saw the dugout react whenever he hit a home run and how much you felt like they kind of were feeling for him and wanted him to get good. I don't think we expected this move at all.
Do you think they just believe in Allen that much?
I think it says more about Hicks than it does about Allen.
Really?
Yeah. To be honest with you.
Even with that what was it, 30 mil?
Yeah,
above
it's 20-something mil at this point because he was owed $30 million at the start of this year, and now obviously some of that already goes away because he's been playing for.
So eating $20 million just because you're sick of a guy that's been on kind of a. Yeah. I mean, do you think they've just been planning for Allen?
The same thing did not the same thing, but a similar thing happened with the Diamondbacks earlier this season. They DFA'd Madison Bumgarner, and I'm pretty sure his contract was way bigger.
Yeah.
And they ate that contract because they're a young team and they need to move on in the proper direction. So I don't think the money thing is really the problem here. Like, I think that you can eat that money if it means that you have a roster spot, because they were never gonna move Aaron Hicks anywhere other than the main team. He was always gonna be on the roster. He was always gonna be a bench piece. But I feel like freeing up that bench piece for the Yankees gives room for guys like Greg Allen. Jake Bauers has been having a decent year. Even Willie Calhoun can get into the lineup against a righty, but I think it's more so just getting that I don't want to say dead weight because that's not the right way to put it, but to get that off your back and have that spot open and have more flexibility with the roster where you can move these guys around and you can have someone come up and you can have Greg Allen come in and try it out. If that doesn't work, call someone else. It's like you have the space now to do it. So I think it's the right move.
I will say it's not. I think it's a lower possibility, but I don't think it's necessarily out of the realm of possibility that a team takes a flyer on Aaron Hicks. Yeah. Again, the AAV is $10 million. I think somewhere where he'd get a chance to play a little bit more. I think maybe there's still some talent to tap into. I think I'd be a little surprised if he gets picked off of waivers, but I'm not. It's not like a 0% chance. And that would be an absolute gift for the Yankees if they wouldn't have to pay that money. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think it really comes down to whether it's Oswaldo Cabrera starting in left field come postseason, whether it's if they make a trade for a left fielder, and we're still trying to figure out who's going to be available, what the trade market's going to look like. A lot of teams still in it at this point. Whether it's even just rotating between Willie Calhoun and Jake Bauers, right? They have guys that can fill that spot in left field that I think it did kind of become a burden because you couldn't send Hicks down, and you weren't going to just put him in the lineup and not play him. Like, you had to get him at bats, otherwise why is he there? That they kind of get rid of the burden of, all right, we have to play Hicks sometimes. Now you don't have to worry about that, and I think that, even when he was going well like this, I think you can replace that production very easily.
Yeah, definitely. And I think part of his appeal was the whole he's a switch hitter, he'll get on base, he'll provide defense for your team. But towards the end here, most of that was gone. I feel like the hitting, the on base, they were all gone. He
didn't look fast. He didn't look great in the field.
And the defense had really fallen off.
A lot of the things that he was heralded for when you really liked him as a player just wasn't there. What had been paining him
towards the end of his tenure. So it just kind of sucks whenever you have a player like this where he was a Yankee for so long. And he had there are plenty of good Aaron Hicks memories to look back on. I mean, without a doubt.
Even like recently, like obviously he's got some big playoff moments, but
last year,
game-tying home run against Houston.
I was in attendance at that game. One of the greatest home runs I've ever seen.
It's probably one of the top Yankee moments in the last 5 years, if you had to be honest, for what that game meant to us. That's a huge moment. His diving catch against Minnesota during that crazy Ruocco game, one of the greatest catches we've ever seen in the last decade. At least as a Yankee fan.
And it's just tough when a player like that completely flips the switch and starts going in the exact opposite direction. And some of the things you loved him for,
his
like
home run off the diving
catch, those home runs, it's just really gone downhill. Like he hit a home run not too long ago, and it was exciting, and everybody was like, Aaron Hicks is hitting a homer, like what's going on? But
I didn't think he still had that power, and he got like the second part of the bleachers
Yeah.
back, and it's like, oh, I didn't know you had that in you. Good
it
stuff.
just stinks because they're so far between now, and those diving catches are gone. Obviously, there's the infamous meme of him going down the left field line and just letting it bounce and shaking his head, not realizing it's a fair ball. And it's just tough when you have a player like that who's been on your team for so long and has so many good memories, and then just kind of completely does a 180, and then you want them out of the city. It's tough, and I'm sure I can only imagine what it's like for the player, but it's interesting that this period has closed with Aaron Hicks.
Yep.